It's been really intensive for 4.5 hours, and I don't think I've had my wrist hurt as much since high school because I've been writing the notes. I don't think we will be able to give you any conclusions, really, just some inconclusive and incomplete remarks, really. Well, to begin, Sirpa started with kind of setting the scene, and I thought that it had some really interesting elements in it. In particular, when she made reference to the project that FRA carried out in mid-2010s, somewhere 15, 16, 17, and they published a report containing recommendations towards how to achieve deinstitutionalization. And some of the recommendations are really appropriate even today. And I will pick out some of them. There is need for more intensive and more commitment towards deinstitutionalization. There's a need for monitoring, and there's need for providing funding to achieve the aim. Of course, there's also need to counter the deprivation of legal capacity, which we've heard just now. And also, we need to combat negative attitudes. And we need to provide guidance and services in the community. And from that historical perspective, we turned to kind of a future situation. The Commission's representative, Olga, gave a brief presentation about the guidelines that have to do with funding independent living and inclusion in the community. Some of the points she made were really accurate, in my opinion, and the aims of the whole program funding are also very well articulated. I think the objective to accelerate transition to services that provide support in the community and support independent living, obviously, is a aim to applaud. The funding, in particular, is aimed at preventing institutionalization and enabling the transformation from institutions to independent living, and providing support and guidance to human-centered approach.
Thank you. Really pains me how well you pronounced deinstitutionalization with your excellent Edinburgh accent. Yes, I will continue with some points from the presentations from Karin Flugt, isn't it so? Yes, and the Icelandic example. I think it was very interesting what Karin said about is it somehow provocative to talk about independent living in group homes or in residential housing? Well, I don't, of course, have really an answer to that, except that, of course, it is a little bit provocative, but of course, it is essential that in every kind of setting there is training and there is competence building and all of that. So, of course, this Swedish initiative is very good. But I was very pleased with this starting point of Karin's, because I think it's good to say these things aloud and then talk about them honestly. About Iceland, I'm trying to be quick because I know it's been a long afternoon. Yes, always interesting to hear about CRPD implementation, and I really loved the Icelandic attitude of we want to do everything better and we want to make everything great. We'll see how it goes. Hoping for the best for them. I didn't have the chance to ask, but I would be interested in knowing if this implementation plan was binding. It interested me in this legal perspective. So what happens if things don't go as they should? Because as we have heard from many people, and as we know also here in Finland, things don't always go as planned, and sometimes governments change and parliaments change, and then Well, everything is flushed down the toilet for a while. Yes. And you?
Oh, me again.
Yes.
Some remarks about the Estonian presentation. I thought it was really pleasant to hear that they actually have an idealized vision of where they want to be, and they are actually striving towards that end. And the objective is to achieve a person-centered model of assistance, and one that is such that it's one complete service to the person. That was pleasant. And I also enjoyed it tremendously that Ellen actually noted that, yes, austerity measures, they're a pain in the butt. Then Norway, the situation in Norway is such that they are at the moment incorporating the CRPD into the national law, and there's a project CRPD being carried out at the moment, and through that project they are providing guidance, and there's also an e-learning tool established for this purpose. One point that struck me in the Norwegian situation was the fact that the situation at the moment is still similar, and with reference to institutionalization, it's still similar to the time when there was institutions, or the institutions were more accepted. And there's a 9 people or 9-person average in housing units at the moment in Norway. So that really struck me. So there's work to be done. Your turn.
Oh, okay. Yes, and now we move on to Hannu Vesala's presentation, which is interesting also in view of Sirpa's presentation in the beginning, which I didn't hear, but now I know what she said because Mikko told us. So yes, and Hannu talked to us about this deinstitutionalization in Finland and these big plans we had in the early 2010 and how it turned out. And actually, I hadn't seen the chart, so I was pleasantly surprised that even though we never did fulfill the plans of the KEHAS program, it didn't go as bad as it could have been. The thing that is sad is something that was kind of this very important thing for example, Päivi and me, was these children in institutions. And it's very sad that they are still in institutions. So that's something that's not nice to hear, but well, yeah, as you said, things to do. Also, of course, what is interesting and happening everywhere, and also was in Hannu's presentation, was this problem of re-institutionalization. So we'll have to follow on that. Still me? Yeah?
Marine.
Okay, yeah. So, wait, did I skip Marine here? No, I didn't. Yes, so Marine Uldry was speaking about this supported decision making, the report they did in EDF, and I think the most valuable point that she made, I will repeat it because it was so good. So not protecting people, but protecting their rights and supporting them in realizing them. I think that was wonderful. And then, of course, if Marine is still listening, I think you could add Finland to the list of countries that have legislation on supported decision making.
Okay, I will make only short remarks regarding the presentations of the representative from Latvia and Lithuania. What really struck me in those presentations was the fact that they've collected experiences from users of supported decision making, and those experiences have provided to be extremely positive. And one of the questions that arose to me immediately was that, at least based on the experiences of Lithuania and Latvia, it seems to me that supported decision making provides savings to the country, and that was really news to me, so I'm actually going to stick to that understanding. Do not try to overcome that opinion. Thank you.
Ja mä vaan tarkistan, että olisi mulla ruutia tää
Joo.
Pia.
Yes.
Yes, and we have this very good introduction to our own legislation on supported decision making. Thank you for that, Ruth. Now we are all informed. I think what was very important and interesting in both Ruth's and Pia's presentations was the fact that what Pia actually said, that we should not forget about the decision making that happens outside of this separate service, which is important, of course, but that really there should be the same principles and same standards obeyed in both. I think that was very, very interesting. And of course, we're all waiting impatiently to see how this will turn out in Finland and what actually will happen. And you.
Thank you. The last two presentations, one from Norway and one from Denmark, they pertained to draft laws and project concerning and pertaining to supported decision making. What I am taking home from those presentations is that it's not actually easy to draft a law that provides for supported decision making. And in particular, with regards to the Norwegian presentation, I found it really refreshing that the idea was that the NGO has not provided a perfect example of a law, but they are aiming to provide, or they are aiming to create discussion on the topic and take the issue further from there. And obviously it's important to implement projects that provide accurate information and suggestions and recommendations regarding on how to proceed with regards to supported decision making, as is now being done in Denmark. I think we're done.
Yes, we're done.